Hi, guys. Welcome to Own Your Essence, the podcast where healing meets empowerment. I'm your host, April DeMille, a psychic medium and a life coach specializing in grief, trauma, and toxic relationship recovery. This is a space for deep conversations, powerful transformations, and raw healing. Each week, we'll dive into soul-centered topics like psychic mediumship, the supernatural, metaphysical wisdom, emotional grief, addiction, mental health, spiritual wellness, and self-discovery. Through inspiring interviews and personal insights, this podcast is here to spread awareness, spark connection, and support your healing journey. If you're ready to set boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and step into your true power, you're in the right place. Let's own your essence together. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Own Your Essence podcast, where we get to have deep transformational conversations with some of our favorite people. I am your host, April DeMille. For those of you that are seeking intuitive insight, I provide private psychic medium readings. These sessions are designed to bring clarity and direction across areas like money, career, relationships, family dynamics, spiritual evolution, and emotional well-being. If you are ready for a deeper, more personalized support, I offer private one-on-one coaching for those navigating grief, trauma, and the complexities of toxic relationship recovery. You can schedule a discovery call using the links provided to ensure it's a comfortable fit. You'll find all booking links in the show notes of every episode. And as always, thanks for tuning in. And today we're going to be speaking with Gina Cavalier. She is an author, a mental health advocate, and a wellness program director at Sedona Mago Retreat Center. Gina is the author of Planet Walking, a handbook for the living, and is known for her work helping people reconnect to purpose through compassionate, non-clinical approaches to healing. And I am very excited to talk to Gina about the work she does. Hey, lady, we're back. So I just read your introduction, but I would love to hear a little bit more about you and kind of the work you're showing up in the world doing right now, and maybe even how you pivot into, the wellness work that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. And I want to send a big hug out to everybody and thank you for being here, showering light all over everybody and well wishes.
Thank you.
Like she said, Gina Cavalier. Yeah, we've all had our crazy different journeys, and I just love that everybody has such an interesting story, actually, and that's so unique. And I really thrive on hearing other people's stories as well. So I share my story because it wasn't something I always wanted to do, be front and centered, but it became necessary. And when I was kind of told I needed to go into becoming a speaker and a teacher, I resisted it for a while because I didn't want to be put into that space, but I realized that was the best place to help other people. And in my progression with spirituality, I started with healing myself, and then it became very apparent that I needed to now share my story and help others. And now it's becoming very apparent that I assist the planet. So it just keeps growing and getting deeper and deeper. And it's been an incredible journey. My story really starts with suicidal ideation, though, that I had for decades. Yeah. And I felt absolutely lost in this world and that I did not belong here. Nothing could convince me that I belonged on this planet. And when something would go wrong, i.e. a conflict, I lost a job, I had a fight with a friend, a breakup or something like that, I would go through an intense period of suicidal ideation where I would either attempt or plan. And I didn't want to be here. And I wasn't even typically like a depressed person. I still lived my day, enjoying the things in life, but I just didn't want to live here. And it was a slow death in itself. Yeah. And it's painful. It's suffering. If somebody spends their entire life with suicidal ideation, I feel for them. And I'm happy to say that I don't anymore. I completely healed it. And when I realize I get all these tinglies when I start to talk about this, and like energy move through me. Um, I just wanted to run up to the top of the mountain and tell the whole world, this can be healed. This
Mm-hmm.
isn't something you have to live with for the rest of your life. It does take accountability, dedication, awareness of finding what works for you, almost like a change of a mindset, saying, I'm going to, for me, I was like, I'm a very good producer of things, or a project manager. I'm going to manage my way out of this, and I'm going to be just as diligent as if I was doing my job that I was getting paid for.
Yeah.
And I worked very hard at it. And there was a switch that happened when I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even think about that anymore. And I
Yeah.
just wanted to share it with the world that this could happen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because I still deal with suicidal ideation. I would say not to the extreme that because I spent my entire life also feeling like I just for God's sakes I don't want to fucking wake up. Like I can't like when some certain people have you know certain levels of trauma and complexities that you can't seem to escape, and they just continue to repeating. The only thing you know to do is want to escape, right? Like you want to escape the matrix, you want to escape the bullshit. Like nothing shifts, no matter what you do. It's just you're inundated with more bullshit. And so I also spent the majority of my life just not wanting to wake up because why would I? Like, why the fuck would I want to wake up for more suffering? Who the fuck wants to do? Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's keep doing that. Like, nobody's doing that. So,
No,
um,
well,
yeah, so I'm just like, and I also was not a depressed person by nature. So a lot of times people go, oh, well, if they feel this way, they're mental or they're depressed or whatever, and that's bullshit. That's just a stereotype. It's not true. Um,
yeah, I talk about this a lot. It's a good point. Just while it's coming up though. Suicidal ideation is completely different than other mental health.
yep,
And
it's completely different.
we don't talk about it enough. And even the professionals don't talk about it enough.
Right.
You might only have one suicidal ideation thought the entire year.
Yeah.
So it is not like a bipolar disorder or a manic episodes and all that stuff.
Right.
And but that one episode is 911. So it's something you have to work on and deal with,
Hmm.
on a low hum consistently, if you know that you have that potential to go there, but it needs to be treated 100% different. It is
For sure.
not typical mental health issue. It might
I
have a
I
connection or
completely agree. I would
yeah.
agree with that 100%. So I can't say mine's completely healed because nothing in my life is ever completely healed. Like we're always evolving, and expanding in all the ways. So there's not like oh, I reached the end and now I'm free. Like I'm not there. But am I more aware? Do I manage it better? Am I around better people, better support? Absolutely. So it transforms the
Mm,
way you hold space for it.
right.
And so that's one of those things where and also, my suicidal ideation was actually worsened by the people around me because people would make me feel like shit for feeling that way. Like they would guilt you. If you had toxic people around you, then they would just they couldn't meet you with compassion. Instead, they would shame you for it and make you feel worse. And so I was met with a lot of people like that, which was information, right? Because that meant I needed to change my playgrounds entirely. And until you do that, you keep repeating those cycles.
Oh yeah, I've gone through thousands of friends.
Yeah,
And I hold them differently now. I'm the people I have in my life now, you know, is just so different. We have just a different relationship, but yeah, exactly the same thing. I was sort of in a rock and roll world. I was married to basically a rock star. And he I loved and adored him. I still do this day because I believe when you love somebody, you love them forever. But the environment that created with the drinking and the traveling and all that kind of famous energy I think it can be wonderful. But in my case, because it was a band and it was punk rock kind of Irish music, it just brought a lot of the low level energy, and I couldn't even like talk about these things, and
Hmm.
so I couldn't be me,
Right.
and I felt like I had like a closet spirituality.
Yeah.
And it made me even sadder, even feel more like disconnected. And when I would try to bring it up, it'd be like, oh, you're being all woo woo, you're being all hippie. And I was just like, oh, is hippie a bad thing? Yeah. So it's a shaming energy or a judgment energy or a criticism energy.
Hmm.
And those are the three words that I use when it's like, what do I need to work on, and how to, it's those three things mutually, how we look at other people and how we let that energy affect us is shame, judgment, and criticism. Those are the three low level vibrations that take an energy, take a person, take a living thing down.
Yeah.
Nothing can live in that energy, not an animal, not a
Yeah.
plant, like nothing.
Yeah. It's an instant killer. So when you're working with people that are in suicidal ideation or people that are listening and they're like, I don't know what to do with all this or kind of like where to start, do you have like some words of wisdom? Like how can they, feel more supported and things like that when they're moving through something so heavy?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm only just a person that, healed this in myself. So, also that gives me a little bit of different kind of credibility with people. They understand that I'm not trying to like, interject any type of, specific, protocols on them. So
Right.
actually they look, and I'm just them in a different state. So
Yeah.
it helps people in that sense.
Yeah.
You do have to kind of quickly assess kind of where they are without you have to be sort of a chameleon and just really listen and see where what level are they at this moment. But I almost always start off the same exact way. We actually go into a meditative state, and all of that is in my books, as my second book, especially as step by step, all the meditations that I use and how I get there to get into this like grounded space.
Okay.
Because you need tools, period. You need tools and you need to practice them, because when you need them 911, if you haven't been practicing, you're spinning emotionally. It's really hard to go to a tool when you're spinning emotionally, like
Totally.
grounding or going swimming or going to the gym or whatever. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to go do something right now. It's getting there. So getting them into the meditative state, and once they start to work the tools, which is grounding and bringing in the earth and the cosmic energy, and they start to realize, and I actually teach them everything, I don't do it for them. And so they have these tools embedded into their psyche, so they can use it at any moment. And we start to run the energy, and they realize that they're all just trillions of cells that have a little bit of energy in each one of them. And if you're telling a trillion cells that you are ugly, no good, unworthy, don't belong here, they're going to start to like, the flicker is going to just start to die. And no wonder you feel terrible. Like,
Right.
no, who cares the story? You a breakup, somebody did something awful, you lost all your belongings. We all have the stories, right? But
Yeah.
no, if you're going to tell yourself that, of course, it's almost like the light is going to start dying. So doing whatever it takes to bring in, fluff off all that shame, judgment, criticism, and get to that good energy again. And then you can do the work, because you just have to be able to do that. And the second thing I really do is when I get them into a meditative state, if they're kind of in the right position, this is so magical. And what's interesting is the youth gets this immediately. It's the older people I have a hard time with. But with the youth, what I do is I get them into a meditative position, and then I kind of send them a visual of what I'm seeing of what their soul looks like. So the thing that animates their body, the thing that
Right.
is the spark of light from all light, and the thing that has the gigglies and the smiles, and then just that beautiful childlike energy that opens them up like a flower. So what I do is, because I can kind of see what souls look like. I have actually drawn them for people, and I will either send them a visual if they're a visual person, or will tell them what it looks like so they can feel it. And once you kind of see yourself at that level, that you vibrate that incredibly, that
Mm-hmm.
you hold that type of special energy. And it's like a fingerprint. Every soul is 100% different looking.
Right.
It's you sound different. You have a vibration and I start to say, oh, you kind of vibrate this way. You look this way. You have these kind of colors running through you. It starts to become a living, breathing thing that is like this neat part of side of you. And once that connects somebody to their soul, they never want to leave again. They realize like, whoa, I'm not going to sniff that out. That's
Yeah.
like sniffing out a puppy. Like, no, that is just beautiful. And so they build an instant connection to their soul. And then the other stuff is like, yeah, I have to work on that, but damn, I'm not letting that thing expire. It's too beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it's important too that you're talking about, I think you talked a little bit about the difference between criticism during suicidal ideation and connection. And you said, you had to repress and kind of be in the closet, and that disconnects you from your true essence, hence the reason why you feel like you're dying, because there is grief involved
Mm-hmm.
in abandoning yourself. And I guess on a deeper level, because I have the psychic medium stuff, I have felt a lot of times the suicidal ideation actually came from knowing that this was my last time here on Earth,
Oh,
and
wow.
my
You're like
soul
one of a
is
thousand.
so it's just my choice, right? Like this is my choice and the end of my journey, and so I'm like, so I think a lot of my ideation or longing for home has been because I also am grieving a sort of type of grief from disconnecting from the planet, if that makes sense.
Wow, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah,
also see that you either are or were an earth angel. So earth angels are they find it they come here, they're picked to come here to do this, but they find everything so hard because they're so compassionate and
right.
pathetic, and everything that they see, how am I going to fix this big giant problem? And so I actually channeled an earth angel in my book. Her name was Sue Ellen, and every time she comes to this planet, she commits suicide. So
Oh, yeah,
she was like, Gina, you're telling people my story, and I you don't have to do that. There's another way to deal with the energy, and she was there supporting that. So there is like a channeled message in that from her. But yeah,
very cool.
100%. And I'm very similar in that energy. I still struggle. I have to be very careful of the content I consume and what I
Yeah,
watch.
I'm like that too. I stopped watching
And
TV in 2009. So,
yeah,
yep, I'm the
yeah. I
same
mean,
way.
I'll do a tiny little bit, and Spirit, basically told me it's like you don't have to be the person to look at all the files. You don't have
Yeah,
to be the person to go to the slaughterhouses and try to fix that.
yeah.
You're physically not able.
Well, and
So
as I evolved, I guess as we mature, like the message becomes more about being present and being, because our magic is in that as opposed to doing.
yeah,
And so,
that was a good permission slip I wrote to myself. It was almost, I think probably for you as well. We come in being like, I thought I remember being young and being like, I'm going to make everybody in the planet my friend. Everybody. Like, I'm
yeah,
just going to make them my friend. Nobody's going to hate me. It's going to be all roses. And I was like, this is hard.
yeah.
And I realized that wasn't what it was, the way it's supposed to be.
No, yeah, it's definitely not. And we figure that out the hard way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you also talk about like burnout and things of that nature. And I was going to ask you, how would somebody experiencing just utter exhaustion and burnout and overwhelm, how would they know the difference between that or just being tired?
Um, well, that's what the tools are there for, is because, you know, back in the day, we didn't really need these kind of tools as much because they were inherent in us. They've been programmed out of us, taught out of us.
Right.
Spirituality, grounding, meditating, doing some type of connection to the earth, before you start your day was practice worldwide, hundreds of years ago. Spirituality or that kind of connection came first. Now it comes last. So we're like rushing to our computers, rushing to our jobs, things like that. So we're out of balance. We're out of nature.
Yeah.
So you have to pick a modality. You don't have to be religious even. You don't have to, it's not about, I don't connect mine with religion specifically. You can, it's almost like a builder block, build your old Lego system. Do you like music? What is your modality? Animals, whatever, but you have to first do that, because once you get that, you can say, oh, do I just need to take a day off and call my boss and say I need a mental health day? You know how hard it is for people to say I need a mental health day? It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah.
And you really have to, and you have to be well enough, you have to be like strong enough to say, hey, I need that. And actually I look at someone who does it and I respect them a lot more. That you need, and it's normal. So we need to kind of normalize the people standing up to themselves and saying, no, I need this mental health day. I recently did it when I was working on another project, and I felt so proud of myself. Just all of a sudden I was just do my typical like running and exercise in the morning, and something just said, you're not going in today. You need the day off. And that's why I was saying it's the tools, because it's like I'm so practiced now. I know how to listen to my own intellect and instincts, because if you don't practice, it just sounds like a lot of noise. But
Mhm.
when you're kind of practice, you can understand when it's a part of your everything that you are saying, no, turn left, no, stop this. So
Yeah.
it's really making that muscle of your intellect and your instinct like stronger. But you have to do at least 30 minutes a day or whatever of conscious awareness to just yourself, even if it's in a car. Like because I
Mhm.
was always a overachiever, so I was like, how am I going to find 30 minutes? Like, so I actually started sometimes just on my way to work. Well, I can't do anything else, I'm stuck in the car. I was living in LA at the time, so I used that 40 minutes to run my energy, ground, listen to spiritual music, or like so you can find time even if you have a bunch of kids and a lot of things going on. There are just those little pockets, and then once you get that practice, then you'll go take specific time out. You know what, everybody go get a babysitter. I'm gonna go for a massage for an hour. You start to understand that you're just overwhelm yourself if you don't put in these things for your own mental health awareness.
Yeah. I actually learned a lot about in the last couple years, I've been working with a specific nanny family. And sometimes I would discover that if I took a whole day off, I actually figured out I didn't need the whole day. I was like, oh, I didn't actually need the whole day. So I got to a place, and me and this family have a wonderful relationship, and we are all very supportive of each other. And so I got to a place where I was like, oh, I don't need a whole day, but I can go in 2 hours later. And that seemed to be the magic spot some of those days. Sometimes I did need a whole day or whatever. But also, I could just honor the fact that, oh, I just need to go in like an hour later today. And that's just that small window was all I needed to do the reset, just to have the time
Yeah,
to, get my head collected and get my stuff together so I could look at the day differently.
because if you don't do those little things, you're just going to have a big crash, and the big
For
crashes,
real.
ooh,
Yeah.
they'll take you down.
We don't need any more tower moments. Thank you very much.
No, yeah.
Yeah. No, those aren't my favorite. So that's really great advice. But can you give me some examples of really shitty advice for people that, stuff that people hear that's normalized, but actually makes the thing worse, makes everything worse.
Oh my gosh, shitty
Yeah, I
advice.
want to hear like,
Never been asked that.
yeah, like you've got great advice, but like, what are the examples that people like they're hearing it. It's normalized in their, in their worlds, in their society, in the collective, right? And
Mhm.
this shit you need to stop listening to. Like, let's hear that.
Well, I've been noticing there's a lot of programming going on with especially spiritual talk and people on the internet, like get a lot of podcasts and things like that.
Hmm.
That kind of do the backdoor shaming or something like that. And
Yep.
they bring you in. And I almost got caught into one of it too, where they bring you in, showing that it's like your best friend. And then, well, but you got to take this class and you got to buy this book and you got to buy, and now you have to do this next class. And then you should mortgage your home so
And
you
if you
can
don't, you're going to
go
stay
to the
sick.
so you can go to this retreat that's around the world that's $5,000. I if it's not smelling right, it's not smelling right, and just trust yourself. And that's really hard because when you are in a mentally hard, challenging state,
Yeah.
that's why I created the books, because there's resources there that if you just want to be quiet and kind of dig through it on your own time and at your own leisure. But that's absolutely, I don't know if that's good advice, but really just, for, yeah, listen who you're listening to. And
Definitely
it's
consider
really,
the source.
really hard because this one last group that I was getting kind of involved in, they seemed like they were like love bombing overly sweet. And so I was always like, this is really weird. They're like so nice,
Yeah.
like to the point where there's something feels a little weird. But
Hmm.
then when I try to go do something, it's like, oh yeah, we want you to do that. You should take that class. It's $1,000. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, so I don't know. And then after kind of layers, then I was like, okay, that's not the right situation for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was weird
Sometimes
because
it takes a minute to figure it out. Like sometimes like you have to be in it for a minute to like navigate where the red flags are showing up, right? And you need a few of them to figure it out sometimes.
yeah, and they start pulling at your pocket, things. If you're going to go to a nice retreat, with friends and it's $1,500, you enjoy yourself somewhere beautiful, that's no big deal. But once it starts asking to like be repetitive and go to everything and be a
When it's
part
an
of everything,
expectation.
yeah,
Yeah.
to me it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like anybody that's teaching you to repress your emotions for one is
Oh,
um terrible advice. Like
I,
never abandon yourself. And then I don't know if you feel the same way about the manifesting talk or the manifesting world. Oh, if you it's so victim shaming, blaming because it's like, oh, you're creating your own hell. Well, yes and no, right? But also like, how about you meet those people with compassion instead of shaming them because they're not manifesting hard enough or they're doing something wrong and not getting the results they need. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? So things like that where I go, this is bullshit.
no, yeah, manifesting things are very interesting to me.
They are.
It's like a giant whole podcast on its own, but
For real.
but
That's a whole series by itself.
I'll just add this little tidbit because I usually, things happen to me before when I'm doing podcasts, so I can share them. But I lost I sold my home and I was so depressed. I was planning on ending my life and I had about $1 million in equity and I didn't want it to go to the state. So I sold my home. I rented a really fancy place in Hollywood Hills, had a big birthday party with like a whole band and everything. And nobody really knew. And I was paying off my friends' bills, vets' bills, lawyer bills. I was just giving away all the money. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I actually, in that effort of giving away all the money, I started to, actually releasing the money and its power over me and saying bye, 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 bye. You know, um, was a big spiritual change for me
Oh
because
yeah.
it locked me into, always the fear of losing the house, fear of losing money, fear of this, like with everything to do with finances. Not saying I don't ever have fear of finances now, but I took the power away from it by giving away all my money.
Yeah.
I literally went down to zero. I gave away $1 million. I gave away all of my life. And then I fell in love with myself. And then now I want to be here. But now I'm having to start over. I don't have retirement. I don't have any of that stuff. But I'm
Mhm.
sort of like, it's going to be okay. But
Right. Because the
um
universe has your back. You're like,
I was
okay, it's
watching
fine.
last night these people living in Hong Kong in these, like, they call them coffin cages or rooms, and they're just little tiny rooms, and they're about 400 US dollars a month. And it's so sad and depressing, and I mean, I was just overwhelmed by, you know, these like millions of people having to live like that. And then, just look, you know what I mean? So there is, I don't know, when I'm thinking, well, maybe it could be better where I'm living, or, or anything like that, or maybe because I did get, like, I was so used to having a house. It's like, it's so weird not to own a home. I own a home since I was in my 20s. But I'm like, there is a freedom to it that I
Yeah.
spiritually, that I
Yeah.
do. And then I also last night was looking at all these people. They were interviewing them, and we're just waiting to die. We're just waiting to die. And it was so sad to me. So I just like, so being, I don't know anybody that lives like that, or that I visually see in my eyesight. So I was like, wow, you could really always be worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it can always be worse, but in a way, that's also minimizing your suffering because then you go, oh, it could be worse. And then I feel like we shut ourselves down by saying we could have it much worse. But really, it's like we're allowed to feel
Yeah.
all the feelings of that discomfort
Of
without,
course.
you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes without, um, oh, other people have it worse. That might be true. But,
Yeah.
and I can't say for you, but for me, when people would say that to me, it was because they were like, you're not grateful for what you have. It was more of a shaming, right?
I see.
And
Yes.
so I had that voice repeating in my head, and I would do the same thing. I would abuse myself and shame myself because it could always be worse. But the fact of the matter, it doesn't fucking matter if it could be worse.
Yeah.
We're
So
allowed to
yeah.
have all the feels about this situation right now because that's the gift of being human. Yay. Right? Like that's what it is. So yeah, like I have to be mindful of that myself.
Yeah.
So I'm not bypassing or, shutting myself down sometimes.
Yeah. We'll have to
Yeah.
talk about manifesting some other time, but oh my gosh. That's
Yeah, it's that whole thing. I think that, the toxic positivity and, oh, you're not doing it right or doing it hard enough or, you're creating your world. Mm, yeah, I mean, I would agree with that to some extent, but listen, I didn't create my daughter dying, so give me the fucking
yeah.
give me the tips on that, right? Like I didn't create that. That's bullshit.
No.
I don't buy
Oh,
that.
that's
You know what I mean?
terrible to
Like
say
that's what
that
I'm
to
saying.
somebody. I
That's
can't
what I'm
imagine
saying
that.
though. Like
Yeah.
when you think about like, yeah, okay, I mean maybe there are levels of co-creation, but did I create my kid dying? No, I did not.
No.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't be like, oh, this is going to be for the best, even if it is. Let's sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, no, I don't think so. So there's a lot of things there where I just go, I think there's something missing here and it's being misused.
Yeah. I'm so sorry about that. Oh, kills my heart. Kills my heart. I didn't have kids. I always wanted kids. Something told me, he was like, they're like, you're so lucky because your heart would have been broken. I just can't, I couldn't. Oh, so hard.
Hey everyone, Stephanie here. For those of you seeking intuitive insight, April provides private psychic medium readings. These sessions are designed to bring clarity and direction across areas like money, career, relationships, family dynamics, spiritual evolution, and emotional well-being. If you're ready for deeper, more personalized support, April offers private one-on-one coaching for those navigating grief, trauma, and the complexities of toxic relationship recovery. You can schedule a discovery call using the links below to ensure it's a comfortable fit. You'll find all booking links in the show notes. As always, thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely moments in parenting and with any other relationship too, where your heart gets broken, right? Like that's part of our life keeps lifing and evolution, right?
Yeah,
But also
sure.
there's so much magic those journeys as well. So it's yeah, I mean, unfortunately,
Yeah, that's why I love the soul visual. Going back to that, because it does, even for everything, or it's either the soul visual or looking at the consciousness of something. So I've been running in the morning, and I do my practice and stuff, and I'm starting to try to actually visualize the consciousness of the energy around me, whether it's trees or the
yeah,
sky, birds, and not just looking at them, but looking at the deeper, the reality behind the physical, because especially when you have suicidal ideation or depression, or you're lost in the world, when you get to see beyond the physical or feel beyond the physical, that's to me where all that magic is. And then
yeah,
you can see maybe why certain things happened, and that's different than manifesting. But
totally. Yeah, the acceptance of, the way things unfold is absolutely different than manifesting. I would agree with that too.
yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, there's um, having that uh deeper wisdom really is a freedom of its own as well.
yeah, it is.
It really is. Yeah.
But also, just something's telling me just to remind people, like the connection to the finances is a lot of people are struggling with that worldwide,
Yeah.
just it owns them, money, the idea, the energy of money, the creation of it, where you put it, like who has what, the
Yeah.
fear of losing it. I mean, if you were to see a lot of people and just say, hey, we're just gonna, maybe people who are abundant, and just say, you're gonna lose all your money today, they're gonna go to suicidal ideation. You know what I mean? Probably.
Right. Because their instant knee-jerk reaction is awesome. How am I going to feed myself? How am I going to keep
Yeah.
a roof over my head? All your basic human needs have just been stripped in an instant. Everybody would feel that way. It's
Yeah.
terrifying.
Yeah. And I had to, start out a bunch of new crappy jobs. I mean, things that I would never think I would ever do. I used to be an executive as well, and having to go back and restarting. And then I realized it wasn't that bad. I learned something out of it. And then the things that were more aligned for me came in, but I just had periods of time where, I had to go, I worked at the Hilton and stuff like that. I did things that, in my mid 50s, where I was like, oh, this is interesting. This is a job I probably would have done when I was 19. But I took my own shame out of it, and I laughed my way through it. And I was like, yeah, I know I need something better, but I'm going to meet someone here. I'm going to
There's
learn.
always something.
It's
Yeah.
going to, but I've realized also how strong I was through that type of stuff too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, while we're on this subject, you talk about, purpose, and especially purpose through compassion, reconnecting to purpose through compassion. But also, I would like to add that um, my purpose found me. Like, it landed in my lap. Like, and there was no way I would have ever been like, oh yeah, I'm going to specialize in grief and trauma and, toxic relationship recovery. Nothing about that is at the popular kids table. Nothing.
Nope.
Nobody's like, oh yeah, let's go do all the hard shit. Nobody's wanting to do that. And then the life unfolded the way it did, and it was just kind of the nail in the coffin, quite literally, when my daughter died. So it was like my purpose just landed in my lap. Here's what you're supposed to do. And a lot of that um unfolding had to come with compassion. There was no other, there was a level of compassion that even came from my daughter's death that I would have never had before.
Yeah. Oh. I we all have, to me, I believe, a blueprint and and signposts that we're supposed to hit, and
Yep,
certain skills and gifts that we have. Not
absolutely.
saying that we can't cross those lines and do other things, but there's certain things that we're really good at, that we're inherent at, but we struggle because we tried, our ego wants us to do something else.
Yep,
Something that I did put in my book here at the Planet Walking, the Handbook for the Living. I
perfect.
traveled this in 7 weeks, 10,000 words a week. And I have a way in here. How do you find your themes and your gifts through your blueprint? And the reason why I love that was because especially when you get into spirituality, right? You're starting to I worked with a shaman, I did some Hinduism stuff, I worked in Kabbalah, I did like all these different things, and I worked with some mediums, I did remote viewing classes, and I was just sort of like, and I was like, oh, I want to be like that guy. I want to be like that guy. I want to be like that guy. And I was like, but that doesn't work for me. Am I supposed to be a shaman? Like, I kind of had this like spiritual confusion for a little while.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of lost in the soup of it all.
Yeah.
And you kind of feel like that you're supposed to make a choice. And so this shows you how to do yes and no questions to find out what your gifts are, and actually really helped me. So my gift was a cipher. And I didn't even know what it was. I had to look it up. I was like, what's that? I was like, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
What am I, like a funnel? What is that? But a cipher, is literally like funneling from spirit and source or whatever, information in through, and I have to share it with people. And it's like, I'm supposed to take in the information and share it, take in the information and share it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did in my 2 books. And once I realized that, man, I just wrote that stuff. It just came. Publishing deals came. I mean, I was so connected to it. And I was so grateful because I got to carve out a path that really met with my actual inherent gifts, instead of struggling to become like the best shaman or the best medium. I can do a little bit of that stuff, but it wasn't my exact path. And I just have flourished since I found out my path. It's helped a lot.
Yeah.
Learning about my archetype, what I'm supposed to work on, victimhood, obviously. I'm a victim. I'm a self-pity person. When, I would self-pity, that was a part of my archetype. And I had to like learn how to stop self-pitying myself and rewire that part of my
like how to like mature out of the victim mindset.
Yeah. And I do, even when anything comes my way, I slow down. I don't throw all the emotions in there at one time. I take a deep breath. Even if someone's mad at me or yelling at me, I go, okay, because I used to be so fast. I just calm down. I look around, and then I try to really examine the situation a little bit more. I try to look at my part, my role in it.
Yeah.
And then if it's, hey, you know what, that's just the best. I'm sorry, that was the best I could do at the time, and I don't self-shame. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but any type of practice, you will inherently start to self-take care of yourself while you're working on it. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. Do you have your other book right there too?
Yes. So this is Surviving Suicidal Ideation.
Oh, love it.
And I became an artist. I channeled the art too. I did about 30 images in here.
Okay.
I wrote it with a trauma-informed therapist because at first I was like, who's going to care about just some girl who says she doesn't have suicidal ideation anymore? I wanted to have a medical twist on it, which was really great. So this was published by the Swedenborg Foundation, and it's actually a workbook. So it has, so, like resources, and I've had people, I'm getting chills. I've had literally people who have called me. I'll just use one person. She's a surgeon's nurse, like high profile, very intense job. And she came to one of my classes and things like that. But she told me that she was just so on the edge. She was ready to go. Like she did not want to be here anymore. And that she picked up this book and she worked it. And she's like, it saved my life. And it just, and to see her smile and to say that, and she's got the second book now, she's doing the tools, to see her saying, I'm Gina, I'm working on my energy, I'm grounding, I had this, and now, like, the thing is that those, if you haven't gotten to the point where you've healed it, they're going to come. The suicidal ideation is probably going to come at some point. So now is the time where you do the pre-work.
Yeah.
To take care of it.
That's right. Proactive. Being proactive is, I think that's, it helps with, longevity and success for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, I feel like I had, oh yeah, I know what we were missing, nervous system awareness. I know that that's something else that
Oh
try
my
to,
gosh.
yeah. So do you
I still
have,
wake up with panic attacks.
okay.
I have PTSD. So that's why I always start with grounding, because I'll start to get this flourish of like fearful energy. I know what my patterns are. My patterns are like, I'm starting to feel like I'm a little lost in the world, that nobody really loves me, I'm unworthy. Um, you know, all, and almost those things like flush over me still. And then I'll just have to ground, which my method is I create a grounding cord wider than my hips. I send it to the center of the earth where the lava is. And I have it hollow on the inside. And usually I use like a tree. And I just and I said, anything that's all this energy, I'm just releasing all the energy, and I imagine it. I literally imagine it falling out of my body and into the earth and into the lava. And instantly, I just feel better. And I do it, and this is why if people don't believe me, I say, try this on an animal if you want. Like sometimes you'll see, like if a cat or a dog gets scared for a moment, you can put your hand over them, even if this isn't your skill, but most people can do this, and you can feel like a little energy buzzing.
Mhm.
And then just imagine doing just what I told you, like grounding them, like imagine a grounding cord and centering them all with this intention. And you literally could put your hand over there and you just feel that go away and get
Yeah.
calm.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's why I say that is like, sometimes it's hard to feel it in yourself. You might need to do, like, you have to do A/B testing, I call it.
Yeah.
I literally is like, hey, that didn't work for me. Like some certain techniques people give me.
Yeah.
So, and if you find something that works for you, write it down. Just
Well, and I
write it.
feel like it's worth mentioning too that sometimes our gifts don't work for us. They work for other people, hence the reason why we're supposed to share them.
Yeah.
Because when I was practicing Reiki, one of the things I noticed was it did work for me, but it worked differently for me than it did for other people. And I had to
Mm.
let others practice Reiki on me for me to receive like
Ah,
does that make sense? Like it would
yeah,
just so I would absolutely agree that it's sometimes you have to toy with it and
yeah,
find what works.
yeah. But I think when you can get into a meditative state, you can you can work on anything, because our
Hmm.
spinal fluid, the the spinal fluid, although all the way in through our spine, through our neck, and all the way down into the spine, that that spinal fluid is actually our connection to all our chakras and to spirit.
Hmm.
So if you are, say, in a bad space, curled up into like a fetal position, crying, right? And you're like, I want to leave this world. I'm on an exit. You're in a stage 5 911 situation. First thing you do is you got to get up. You got to start walking around. You got to go for a walk. You got to pet an animal. You got to move that energy, and then you got to imagine that any kind of like light or rainbows coming in and going into that spinal cord fluid and flushing that system.
Yeah.
And that's our connection. And so for people, 90% of people are visual. That's why podcasts are so great. So if that's why I give them these visual cues, because if they can imagine this light going into the spine and like literally taking those blockages away, it feels good. They can feel it, and they can visualize it, and they're going, oh, I can feel it going into my heart and helping heal my heart and taking away that burden I'm feeling from crying so hard, going into my lungs and into my organs. And oh, like I'm right now, just as I did that with you, I just felt a big oof from
Yeah.
either myself or some people out there. But so it's find what works for you. But that for some reason Spirit was like, talk about the spinal cord fluid, because that's where all the information highway is of all of our nervous systems and connections.
Yeah.
So it's not here to work on here, it's through the spine to work
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah,
Does
that
that make
makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
So also, Gina, you are a program director at a retreat center. Are you loving
I actually
that?
just
Like,
left there.
oh, okay, so you're
Sorry
not
about
in,
that.
no, you're good.
It was only a couple weeks away, but yeah, I just went independent, and now the Liberated Healer. I went back to my own company and do my own healings, my own courses and classes and things like that. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
Well,
I was going to
those,
be doing that, but like I said, the retreat centers were just like not my vibe.
no, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Probably better just to do your own thing, like you said.
yeah.
But
I
there's still
think,
stepping stones, right? Like it's still
yeah.
like a step in figuring that piece out.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. I mean, I, so I'm a writer, so and I also write fiction. You know, I have like a Harry Potter-ish like whole book series that I'm writing. I already got the first book done and stuff like that. But so I love in meeting individuals, even like yourself. Like I feel like you're such a unique person. Like I love hearing people's stories. And that the reason why I'm mentioning is that is every one of us is just we're just so immensely unique and interesting. And our
Totally.
background, our likes and desires, our passions, what happened to us, like those make us interesting people. Those, you know, you're a book in yourself, and it's wonderful. So I laugh now. I used to always think of it as a negative that, you know, I've been married a couple of times and I've had all these relationships, I've had all these different jobs and I've moved and stuff. And I used to think of that as a negative, like somehow I don't have it all together. But I realized that my soul wanted to go on a chaotic roller coaster journey to learn all left, right, and center. And I take it now and I'm like, bring it on. It's so
Yeah.
what used to be something I was embarrassed by is now something I'm like, yep, and that is my strength. I can jump into any situation at any time. And I've built a callus to that. I'm strong, you know, but I just love everybody's story. And so whatever people are plaguing themselves right now is what I'm trying to get to, is that that's your story is so interesting and needed in this world and unique. And yeah, some of it was sucky, but it's like you're way stronger than you could ever imagine.
Yeah. Well, and I
Yeah.
like that you talk about that right now because uh you're talking about like embarrassment from our past and all the things, and that has been a conversation in my own household the last couple of weeks.
Mm,
And I've had a lot of family and other people, friends, people in the community that have been like, they have been embarrassed and ashamed about my past. And I'm like, hey, listen, that's your problem. That's not,
yeah.
I'm not embarrassed about those things because because of the evolution and I embrace all those pieces of me. So if you're embarrassed, that's your fucking problem. And also that means that you don't appreciate me. And I can
Mhm.
fix that problem real quick, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm really great about boundaries and knowing where to invest my energy. And if you have a problem with me or anything I've ever done, then we're not going to vibe. Like that's period. Right. So those are one of those things where I've also, gotten to a place where was I out whoring around? Was I doing all the things in my life? Was I homeless? Was I a druggie? I did all that shit. And I am okay admitting I have no shame about it.
Yeah.
Because again, those were all building blocks to the type of wisdom and evolution that I embody, which most
Mhm.
people can't even reach. So you want to be embarrassed about my past, like have fun with that. Like
Yeah.
that's a projection of your own. It has nothing to do with me.
And that's why I talked about the suicidal ideation, because a lot of it is very scary. I couldn't talk about it like this until after I healed it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I just couldn't have, I didn't even tell my therapist. And I'm really good friends with my therapist now, like still like talk to him, but he was like, you never told me. I was like, no, this is the problem. Nobody wants to tell anybody. And that's why I do these shows, is because when I've had so many people say, thank you, you gave me the strength. The same, going back to that one lady, she goes, you gave me the strength to tell my therapist.
Yeah. Yeah.
um you know, and realizing that therapist really wants to help me, and but I was so scared, you know, and you know, now that I'm healed I can talk about it, but I want people to be able to find the light and talk about it now. I've had so many people and so many examples of people that say, Gina, oh my gosh, the minute I said it out loud to somebody, it took its power away.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty is the empowerment
Mm-hmm.
comes from voicing our truth and all
Yeah.
of our story, every bit of it, right, wrong, or indifferent, it doesn't matter. All of it's right.
Yeah.
that is the truth.
Yeah.
And
And it's not just women or men or young or old, it's everybody. And it's world.
everybody. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
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 And I'll just share a quick story because it was we were at an event in Malibu. I was raising money for the documentary I'm trying to raise about suicidal ideation. And this guy came, he was an artist, kind of famous artist. And then his friend came who basically started the cannabis in Los Angeles. So he's very wealthy, extremely wealthy, like had all the bling on. And he was there with his model girlfriend who was gorgeous and beautiful. And it was very intimate, probably like 80 people. And I, spoke and we talked about it. And afterwards, my friend sent me a message and said, I have to tell you my story now. And I'm like, okay. He said, you saved my life that night because that morning I was going to do it. That morning, something just kept saying, just go to Gina's event, just go to Gina's event, just go to Gina's event. And he did. And he brought those other friends. He said they went to dinner afterwards. And then they all started to share that they have all suffered deeply with suicidal, all three of them. And
Yeah.
I say that because it's not like they have everything, right? In our mind's eyes of people that don't have something, they had the
Right.
money, the looks, the group, but they were just as bad as everyone else. And he said that they created a pact to call each other whenever they're suffering,
Oh, good.
feeling
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
And because they're sort of like darker, macabre kind of people, they're the boys especially. He says, well, we made it kind of macabre. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I'll just call him up and tell him I'm in a bad space. And he'll ask me like, well, how are you going to do it? And I'll say, well, I'm going to jump in a wood chipper. And he's like, okay, dude, I'm going to do it like this. And I'm like laughing because
They make some
it's
humor
their
about it.
way of
Yeah.
healing and getting to the laughter.
Yeah.
And he goes, I hardly ever have to do that now. It's almost like I had years of therapy that it never worked
Yeah.
for me. But now that I said it and I found a friend that I could share it with, he's like, we don't do it. We don't have it anymore. So
Well,
that's
and I would
yeah,
agree that being met, there's something when you're witnessing someone with compassion and being met differently, because like even in my own experience, gone to all the therapists and all the things, and guess what? It didn't do shit. It did nothing for my mental health because they weren't prepared. Most of them don't actually have experience with some of the things that I was moving through in my world. So they didn't even know how to treat the patient, and that actually caused more damage.
what I thought was hard is that they work you up and they bring out all these emotions and all this stuff and all these memories. And then they're like, okay, bye, see you next week. And then
Yeah, you don't have a way to like move through it. You're like, what am I supposed to
you're in
do
your
with
car driving like, oh, I feel worse. Now what do I do? I have to
Yeah,
wait.
and I think that that's why it's so important for people to have. Do you want a therapist and a sounding board? Fine, but find
Yeah.
somebody that actually maybe can coach too, because then you actually have practical tools and skills that you'll learn instead of just having a sounding board.
Yeah. My therapist was so good because I was dealing with a rape at work that nobody believed me, and so I really didn't believe myself either anymore, and it had alcohol involved and all kinds of stuff, so I really felt like it was my fault and that I brought it on myself. And I was an executive at the time, and it was all like everybody around the coffee, everybody was talking about it internally, and people were talking behind my back, and I was in fear from everything in my life. And he was a one though, so that was for me the good experience though. That was like absolutely not like you were raped, like here's what happened. Like he helped me, like with that part of it,
Yeah,
So
because you'd gotten to a point where you gaslighting your own self and doubting your own reality.
so that's how the therapist kind of helped me, like he brought me in for that. But that's why I think you need to have all the other tools too for yourself,
Yeah.
because and they only have so much little time, it's like,
Hmm.
what are you going to do when you fall off in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning and want to go?
Yeah.
You need the tools. Like for me, I
Yeah,
had
because
breast,
your therapist isn't on speed dial at 3 in the morning. They work Monday through Friday and 9 to 6, right? So
and I'm just glad we can talk about this, because I feel like about when I was really struggling, I like, 6, 7 years ago, you couldn't have these conversations.
No.
It's just,
Yeah. Well, and
I
I think, the generations before us, people weren't allowed to talk about anything, sadness, everything was swept under the rug, like when you talk about like the 50s and all the things like, you had to, everything was hush hush and now we wonder why there's generations of illness afterwards. So that's fun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, Gina, do you have anything else that we need to touch base on that we didn't, or any final words of wisdom that you want to share?
Just, I used to say this little saying I created when I was like 8 years old, and it means something to me now.
Okay.
You are the joy that nothing else is. And your soul is the most valuable thing you own. So take care of it. And I truly believe that. And that's why I'm going back to that vision in this soul. If you are in having a hard point, just close your eyes and then just ask yourself, to show you an image or a picture or a feeling of that thing that vibrates in you, that's full of love, and see if you can see it and feel it. And once you build that connection with it, anything that comes my way, I kind of get that vision of that soul, and I'm saying, sorry, this thing's more important. Like,
Yeah.
So reminder to keep that. And as we move through things in this world, but we all really do belong here. That's suicidal path is very rare in a soul contract. So if you can hang in there and get through the hard stuff, I promise you, even if you feel like you're at the edge of the cliff, you're gonna sprout wings and you're gonna fly down gently, and you're gonna look back and say, wow, I am freaking strong, and I did that. And you might have to do it again, but each time you get better and stronger. And so just a little bit of words of, if you're have to get through something right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And also, the easiest way for people to find you. What's the best way for them to reach out?
I guess Instagram, Gina_Cavalier. I'm also the liberatedhealer.com, GinaCavalier.com. And I always get back to everybody, no matter what it is.
Okay.
And I have courses and I have healings, I have one-on-one healings, I have all kinds of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Books. So these are the 2 books: Amazon, local bookstores, Surviving Suicidal, Ideation, Planet Walking, A Handbook for the Living. And this was mocked off of the Tim Burton Handbook for the Recently Deceased. Because when I was a kid, I was like, where's a handbook for the living people?
Yeah. No, that's,
that's
perfect. And that's creative.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Gina, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
If you guys, if this discussion resonated with you on a soul level, please look for Gina's links in the show notes. And if you're looking to work with me privately, you can also find my booking links in the show notes. But Gina, thanks again for being here with us today. And I'm going to just go ahead and say goodbye here. Bye, you guys. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining Own Your Essence. I am beyond grateful to our guests for sharing their wisdom, and to you, our listeners, for being part of this journey toward healing and empowerment. If today's conversation resonated with you, please feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this space with others who might need it. If you have questions, topic ideas, want to be a guest, or would like to work with me privately, send an email. I'd love to hear from you.